Hello everyone, I have a special controller here today called the XIM Nexus controller, and I'm going to be going over all my personal thoughts of the controller as an experienced gyro user. Basically, this controller allows you to play gyro on console in games that don't support gyro, but with one major flaw: there's no gyro pass-through. XIM Central claims that the smart translation technology is better than any native gyro implementation, so I'm going to be putting the controller to the test to see if it can back up those claims. The first test will be Fortnite on the PS4, a game that XIM Central swears will play better with the Nexus than with the native gyro controls. Alright, so as you can tell, it's really hard for me to get on the target because any small movements I make aren't even registered into the game. And I'm just playing with the default controls and settings that were listed on the website. Alright, next I'm going to be doing this with my PS4 controller. On the console, this is just the native gyro controls in the game, and we're going to see if it's a lot easier to hit these targets. Alright, so you can see I'm actually able to hit the targets way faster using this controller than I was able to with the XIM Nexus because I can make these small movements. Alright, next I'll be showing tracking with these two different controllers. Alright, and here's with the PS4 controller. As you can see, the PS4 controller was able to make the tracking much more smooth because it was registering these small movements. The XIM Nexus did perform better in the tracking than the clicking, but only because it was in constant motion. Alright, next I'll be doing a game with arguably horrible gyro support. That is Paladins on the PS4. Alright.
Bag 'em and tag 'em, boys.
Double kill.
So again,
That's
tracking
13 in a
is
row.
fairly easy because the controller's in constant motion.
Double kill. Annihilation.
The flicking feels a little bit forced because these small movements are getting lost. So I'm trying to flick here and it feels like I'm getting stopped. I can't really make this micro just like I want to. Here's what it should look like, but you can see the crosshair doesn't quite reach where I want to go. Because of how much input's being lost, I have to constantly reset the controller back to where I want it to go. Next I'll just be doing the same things, but with the native gyro controls that are already in the game. As you can see, I'm able to get onto the targets faster, and I don't have to reset my hands because all these small motions are still being registered. Even though they're not as precise, they're still way more precise than this XIM controller can offer. And again,
Double kill. Double kill.
tracking is just super easy because none of the motions are being lost at all. And I've got to say, this game has terrible gyro controls compared to Fortnite, but still way better than the XIM Nexus. Alright, the next game we're going to be playing is Valorant, which is on PC, so we can get rid of all the limitations of the stick since we're not limited to any in-game settings. And let me tell you, my first reaction to this is, holy smokes, this is really accurate. All the tiny movements are being registered because the stick has 0 dead zone, 0 smoothing, 0 anything. This is all from the software. But there is actually a small amount of give when I move the controller a tiny bit. It just doesn't register. But other than that, it's really accurate. But it isn't as accurate as the PS5 controller, which is half the price. So if this controller is only good on PC, then it just doesn't make sense to choose this over a controller that's half the price. Alright, here's me doing the same thing with the PS5 controller. Alright, next I'm going to be doing this challenge on medium with the XIM controller and then comparing it to the PS5 controller. The last thing I'm going to do is Kovacs. I'm going to do this challenge one time with this controller and then one time with the PS5 controller and compare the scores. Alright, the XIM controller scored 703. And the PS5 controller scored 831. My honest opinion of this controller is that it doesn't have much of a purpose, and I don't recommend buying it unless you're stuck on Xbox and just want to try gyro. The only other use for this controller is to cheat in console games, since aim assist still functions with this controller and the smart translation is too accurate compared to normal stick aiming. XIM is supposed to enable gamers to play their preferred way on console, but nearly everyone in the gyro community collectively agrees that this controller only hinders the gyro experience, and that you're better off just using a normal controller. Unless this controller is able to pass through its native gyro on PC and PS4, it's just too hard to justify paying $150 USD or more for this controller. User bcore in the gyro gaming community, another member who owns the controller as well, claims that this controller is unnecessary on console and definitely not needed on PC. He even claims that the FlyDG Vader 2 is a better option, and that controller has arguably one of the worst gyros on the market.
Say you're being murdered by someone else! Oh, come on!
Let's go over one discussion that happened between the gyro community and XIM Central. I started by asking if the controller had pass-through and about Fortnite, and their reply was, the smart translator technology provides a better gyro translation than native gyro support, so in Fortnite I would recommend to not use the native gyro support, as the Nexus gyro translation performs better and provides more accurate results than using a DualSense with native support. In games without native support, you just pick the corresponding XIM Nexus config and follow the recommended in-game settings from the XIM website. And yes, on PC you can do that via ReWAS. They're talking about remapping the gyro to a mouse. You can find a video guide on the XIM Nexus forum. After I countered by defending the gyro support in Fortnite, they replied, have you actually played with a Nexus in Fortnite? Which I have, because it really sounds like you haven't. When I wrote is not only my opinion, but the one of every person in the XIM forum who has tried both native and Nexus. After that, JibSmart, the creator of the gyro in Fortnite, replied, in Discord, he is making stuff up about the forum community disliking it, or all the conversations happen in private. The closest I could find was this discussion. Basically, it had nothing to do with Fortnite's gyro. And then he went on to say, but I wouldn't be surprised if people are saying they prefer the Zims, since a lot of that community love being able to play with gyro or mouse plus aim assist. The last discussion that happened in Discord was a message of Zim claiming that the PS5's gyro was not good, and not good compared to the Nexus or its software. And a user Agiel made a joke saying that he read that their solution just doesn't disable auto aim.